Hello, thank you for joining us today for our workshop on exploring NITRO web parts. I'm joined today by James Restivo, our VP of Product Development, and I'm Crystal White, by the way. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Crow Canyon, and we've got some really interesting things to share with you. But before we get into it, just a couple housekeeping things that I wanted to go over. First of all, this will be recorded, so we will add this recording to our website and our YouTube channel. So if you'd like to reference this later, you sure can. And we do want this to be as interactive as possible. We want to answer your questions on these workshops. They're not really meant for us to just talk at you. They are meant for us to provide value and answer any questions that you have. So don't be shy. Use that question box. Go ahead and pop any questions in there. And if it's super in depth and something very specific to your organization, we can always follow up afterwards and get more into the nitty gritty. But by and large, we should be able to answer most questions here on the workshop. So go ahead and use that. And we will be going a little bit more of an overview of kind of a peek at everything that's new. So again, if it's something super nitty gritty, we can always follow up with you afterwards. But I think we've got some really interesting things to go over today. So with that being said, I won't take up any more time. James, what do you have for us?
Oh, thanks, Krista. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here. Make presenter and share my screen before we get too far here. Okay. All right, good. So I should be seeing my screen now. So what we're going to talk about today, just some of the, I think, sort of the unsung heroes of NITRO, in a sense of, we talk about the forms a lot. We talk about the workflows and custom actions, which, we'll be going into in depth in future workshops. There's some things we want to highlight in there, and those are great for business process standpoint. You got the form intake, which can be modified to the nth degree with all sorts of bells and whistles you can put on it. There's the workflows, of course, very highly functional. Custom actions are really nice as well. But I kind of want to just highlight some of the look and feel web parts, these web parts you can put on a page and really kind of play around with and change and make them, highlight certain things, maybe display things in a way that is more appealing and engaging for your users. And I was telling Chris ahead of this call before you guys jumped on, I think we focus a lot on the tiles and dials piece, because I think there's a lot of that's not explored in the tiles and dials, or at least we haven't explored it on a workshop. Hopefully you've gone and explored it on your own. And if you have any examples or things you want to share with the audience, pop it into that questions box, as Krista said. And I'd be happy to, maybe do a little configuration of that on the fly in this workshop. But yeah, I'm going to start with the tiles and dials, and really the link tiles piece of it, I think, is going to be the most flexible and has the most options for how you display things and how things are shown on page. Because you can have it as a link as a URL, you can have it as a link as content. So there's a lot of ways and places you can go with it. So I want to focus on that. But of course, there's the list view web part, which you can see on the page already. We have a list view web part. We've recently added a bunch of enhancements to that as well. A lot of things that you can change with the look and feel. But ultimately, it's just showing a view within SharePoint of a SharePoint list. And there's also list rollup and list search, which you can put onto pages and make really interesting and engaging as well. And we have some really great enhancements, some that are just released, some that are coming down the line with AI integration, with especially with search piece. I'll touch on that a little bit as well. But really kind of want to focus on the look and feel of the tiles, because I think, I was kind of playing around with the settings earlier today, and I thought it was really cool how it could go from look like what you're seeing on the screen to something completely different. That the color scheme can be completely different. What you display on the tiles can be completely different. So there's a lot of places you can go with it. So I just want to walk through some of those settings and some of those things you can do, and give you maybe some ideas of how you could display your data from SharePoint in a way that is more appealing, more engaging, maybe more colorful, maybe more in line with your branding of your particular company, whatever it might be. Hopefully you can take away something useful from this workshop. And as I said, if you have any tips, tricks, or anything you want to share, go ahead and pop them into that questions box. But we're going to start here with this tiles and dials. And essentially what I did, you can see this is from our NITRO Help Desk, one of our out-of-the-box applications. And I essentially copied what I have up here with these tiles and made an example down here. So you can kind of see how you can go from a look and feel that's this to a very different look and feel with the same web part. And all I'm going to do actually is change the settings and refresh this page so you see those changes on the fly and they'll come through quickly. So I think this is a good way to start. But recently I'll start with some recent changes we made within the last year or so. We added these rounded edges. So it's instead of just having a straight rectangle, we've got these rounded edges. We can make these as circles. We can do a number of different things here. But let's kind of start with just some of the different options we have. Now, the first thing you notice out of the gate is how long these particular tiles are compared to the tiles above. And that's a responsive element where it's filling the screen. We've set a width for this web part to go, I think it's 1,850 pixels across, and it's filling up all that space. And we only have 4 tiles versus 6 tiles, so there's fewer tiles to fill in that space. So if even we go and make a simple change of the number of columns, you'll see it changes how it displays. So if we go here and change the number of columns to, let's say, 3, and that means there's going to be 3 tiles across and 1 below because there's 4 of them. And save that, refresh this. You see immediately it makes that change and they're much, much bigger. But if you wanted to give it a specific width that looks better, or that is, your screens aren't going to be as wide as 1,000 plus pixels, or most of your people are coming in through the mobile. Again, it is responsive, so it knows if it's on a mobile interface, it'll shrink those tiles down and eventually put them all, stack them on top of each other. But if you want that look and feel across the board, you can change this panel width max. And I was playing around with this. I got it down to like 125. I think that might be too much. Let me just do 400. Kind of give it like one quarter of what it is right now. So go ahead and save that and refresh. And you see now it sets it over here to the left and it's only 400 pixels wide. All right, so now you can control that size, how it shows on the screen. So obviously on a desktop, this doesn't look as good, but it does still show. What this is really useful for, I think, is when you start getting into the circles. And I like the circles, but if they tend to be, because they're responsive to the size of the screen, and they're obviously going to be the same height as they are width, if you got a really big width, you're going to have a really big height. So let me just show you what that looks like. So if I change this back to 1850, come over here as tiles, header layout, there's an option here to change from rectangular to circular. Go ahead and click the circular and save. And do a refresh over here. So I've changed that width back to all the way across and changed it to circles, and you can see kind of comically large, really, really quite big. But that's because, again, like I said, it's filling out the full width, and then because it's a circle, the height has to match, and so that's why you're getting this like crazy look and feel. But we can fix that with a simple act of changing the width of the panel. And so let's go back to that 400 because I thought that was a pretty good width. I think that's going to show well. And of course, you can just play around with these settings and refresh. And that's the nice thing about it. You can make the setting change, refresh it, see how it looks. And I think we've added some things that allow that cache to reset quickly, so you're not having to clear your browser cache every time. So you can just refresh the page and you get the look and feel that you're at least see what you're working with, so you can work towards the look and feel you want to present. So you notice, I'm not sure why these changed. That's a mystery to me. But these also changed to circles, of course, and probably a size that makes sense for the width of the web part. So you don't have these giant, comically large circles. Now you have a normal size kind of circle. And I think this actually could look better if I did it all the way across. Let me go ahead and change that back to 4. You can always play with these settings and change it how you want. So go 4, save, and refresh. So you got 4 across, but of course they look funky because the way the header and the body are overlapping with each other. And maybe that's a look and feel you want to go for. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe there's some kind of overlapping, style that you're looking for, and that's fine. I don't particularly like this, so I'm going to change it. And what I'm going to do right now, what it's doing is I have a header here, which is open tickets, and I have a body, which is a count of the number of items. So it's really just taking a list view in SharePoint and saying there's 4 items in that list view, 0 in this one, 0 in this one, 0 in that one, but 4 in this one. And that's the number we're getting. But we can change that to an icon, and we can get rid of that header. So you can actually make it look something like this. Let me go ahead and make that change, and we're going to do that at the tile level now. We're going to leave the link to where it is, and we're going to get rid of this text. And because the text is required, I'm just going to put a couple spaces in there. It just blinks it out that way. Otherwise, it'll throw an error that says I have to save it. And then in the body, you'll see you have these options of an image, an icon, or a count. So I'm going to go ahead and click icon, and I'm going to get a different icon here. Let's say, I don't know, showerhead. I don't know if that makes sense. let me do a flag right near the top here. We'll do a flag, and we'll center middle. And we're probably going to have to change the size too, but I'm going to leave it at 36 for now. Again, we can come back and play around with this. I'm going to save those settings. There's also a preview option over here, but I like seeing it on the page itself, because sometimes in the preview it's going to look a little different than what you get on the actual page. And you see, now you get a look that's like this. That's actually pretty cool. I like that. So you can have that same setting across the board for all the other tiles in there as well. So do a quick thing like this, do pop up a couple spaces, change the icon. I'll leave it as an anchor. I like the anchor actually. I'll do this one, same thing, like that out. And I'm doing this because I like to see consistency. I'm gonna do a boat. I'm gonna keep it the nautical theme. I don't know why, just because I live in the ocean state in Rhode Island and I love the ocean, and I think it's a really wonderful thing. So let me go with probably another boat or something like that. Let me just go with a person. That was right there. Let's go with this anchor, actually. What the heck? Why not? Okay, so save that. And now you got these different icons. I'll use anchor twice, but that's okay. So you got these different things now. And we haven't even started playing around with the color scheme. If you want to start making different colors, you can certainly do that as well. And we'll go through all the team. I'll just make a couple changes to the color so you can see what it looks like. But already we've gone from something that looks like this to like this. I mean, just like that, within, 10 minutes? Hasn't even been that long yet. It's a very quick change. But let's go ahead and change the colors of these, because I like the kind of grayish blue color we have back there. It's nice, but I want to make it a little more, I don't know, let's make it a little more like green. I don't know if that may be too, do kind of a green like that. Okay, I like that green. And then we're going to do a blue over here. Let's make it kind of a nice blue. And then why not a red? Let's do a red as well. I like the reds. And yellow. Let's do yellow. Let's just see what it looks like. This part I haven't played around with, so you're seeing live. I'm kind of demoing, so if something goes wrong, I don't know. All right, so we'll go ahead and save that. Refresh that. Now you got a very different look and feel. So it's just really cool, like little settings you can play with and make it look different. I think actually I like this quite a lot. You can have like red, green, blue, or red, green, yellow, like stoplight kind of thing. Or if you wanted to, you can make it look like a stoplight. I guess why not? So if we did something like the tires header layout of row of one. And how do we have it set up over here? So red on top, yellow, and then green. So yeah, let's look at it again. So you can move the settings around. So that's actually another thing you can do is move these tiles around just like that. So you don't have to recreate all the tiles every time. So red on top, let's do yellow in the middle, and then green. That should naturally be green. I think blue is going to be at the end. We can actually do tiles preview here. Oh, that didn't work. All right. Okay, so I went back to the bigger size because I don't have them all the way across. But you can see you got the red, yellow, green like a stoplight. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny to play with it, to do that. But it really shows how far you can take this. You know, if you want to change them back to tiles, you could do that. To rectangles, you could do that. It just you can just play around with the look and feel and until till your heart's content. I mean, until you've got it the way you want it to be and displaying the information you want it to display. And they're all, you know, the nice thing is they're all links that go over to other things. But you can also embed these with content. Let me put this back to 4 just to give it a different, you know, the look and feel. That's good. Oh, there's another thing here with the tiles caption. So let's do that too. Make sure this is fixed. Yeah, there we go. So you got the image in there, but you want to show a caption. Let me just enable that. Enable tiles caption. So we're going to want to put this on the top. We'll do center top. And I think that's good. Height, font. You can play around with those settings a little bit, but let's leave that for now. Go back over here, and this one's overdue. So let's do caption. Here it is. Caption. Overdue. Overdue tickets. Okay. I'm just going to do the 1 just so you see what it looks like. All right, so I got a little behind there, but if we, again, play around with the settings, give it some vertical alignment, you can leave the icons the way you like them with a color that you might like, but you can put the actual caption over the top, over each of these buttons. So they can, you can play around with it and get it to look a different way. Again, it just always amazes me. It's the same web part as this one, same exact one, just playing around with the settings. Let me just show you what a caption, like if we do a content one, some random content. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Good header. Actually, leave it like that. And then this one, we could do an icon like hamburger menu. Why not? And then caption like click here for content. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add that one to our list. That's going to go down below. And let me refresh this. So yeah, of course I got to play around with the link settings here. But you get the idea. You can now have some content pop up instead of a link over to a list. So there's a lot of places you can go with this. And I could spend the whole workshop and even longer just playing around with different settings, trying different things. I think it's kind of fun. So don't let me do that. But if you guys want to play around with those looks, those settings, the look and feel, you know, I encourage it. I encourage you to play around with what looks good, what might work for you on a different size screen, what works for a mobile device, you know, different things like that. And again, if there's anything you want to see from a look and feel perspective here or something you want me to show, go ahead and pop it in there to the questions box or chat or whatever, and then let me know. But yeah, that's the link tiles, which I think has a lot of potential. You know, you can even just take it down. I'm going to go a little further with this. Why not? We can take it down to 1. Let me get rid of all these. I'm just going to get rid of all my work. And we're going to have one big tile going all the way across, 1850. You can put some image in there. You know, I don't know what images I have on my computer, so I'm not going to do that. But so even within one tile, you can kind of make it look a little different, kind of interesting. So let me go ahead and refresh that. I put it as a circle. Let me go ahead and change it to rectangle. Okay, I'll leave the edges rounded. Why not? Save. So there you go. Now this big tile here now. So yeah, just different ways you can display that. And of course, the header is here as well, which you can see it's not here on this one. We can hide that as well. But you know, at the risk of going too deep into into all the settings here, I think I'll leave it at that for now. But just, you know, there's so many different things you can do with this web part. It's really cool. Yeah, so the other things we got, you know, we got the list view web part. Want to make sure we don't forget about that. We got this on the page. It's got some settings, a lot of different settings you can play with, a lot of things that we've recently have done to it to make it look a little different. Let me get this in edit mode. Actually, you know what? I have it up here already. So I'm just gonna, I already opened up the list view settings over here on this tab. And this one is, not sure which one it is actually. Let me go find out. Hang on. Equals 1. All right. If I edit the page, I can edit the web part. All overdue tickets. Okay. So I can open up the all overdue tickets, all overdue problems, all overdue tickets. Here it is. Again, we have a lot of different settings here, less with the look and feel that you get with the linked tiles, but still a lot of options. You know, as you well know, there's different views we can put in there. Another recent, relatively recent, probably a couple, you know, within the last 8 months or so, we released the query option, where instead of selecting a pre-configured SharePoint list view, you can go ahead and query the data in a more granular way. This is, I think, a really useful way to dig down into your data and have a list view that's really specific to what your needs are. Because I find the SharePoint filters to be a little tricky, especially if we start mixing and matching and/or conditions in the SharePoint list view. In that SharePoint list view filter, it can be kind of tricky to do it. And so I like the query for that option, because you can have these nested and/or conditions and make it really kind of granular with what data you're pulling back from your list. So there's those view options. There's different options for how you show the data with the like row, alternating row color. You know, you could do fixed row height, which is useful in case you have a like big description multi-line text field. So there's a lot of settings here. And again, I won't go through these in great detail because we've talked about these on other workshops. I just want to highlight you know, some of the advanced settings we have. We kind of change the look and feel over here a little bit. But we do have, don't get scared off too much by all the coding over here. A lot of it's just settings where you can say true or false, you know, pretty simple. And if you wanted to, you know, hide the header or hide the command bar, which is that this guy right here, where you see the list print, item print, you can hide those things, make it look, you know, kind of lighten the look and feel. You could say, if we wanted to, let's kind of show what that looks like. So change hide to true. Save that setting. So again, your users won't have those options, but that might be your intended desire. Your intended result is to not give them those options for the command bar. List view, I think, takes a minute to. There it is. Okay, it took a couple refreshes. Let me get edit mode here as well, so that change the look and feel. There you go. So now it gives you a little bit lighter look and feel. And then we're working on options to manage what these titles, what these column headers look like, so we can change those around. Try and give it a lighter look and feel with the header and the footer maybe being a little more collapsible, and different things we can do there. Those are some things we're trying to do with the list view web part to make it a little more flexible, a little more friendly looking, and give it kind of a lighter look and feel. But the important thing is, you know, you have different groups of users coming into your system. You might need to present different things to them. Now, SharePoint just assumes if you're giving someone access to a site, they have access to everything in that site. But that might not be what you want. You might want to have certain items blocked or certain actions blocked for them that they normally would otherwise be able to do. Like in the help desk world, right? You want to be able to have people create tickets, but you want them to go through a particular process to do that, which is, you know, opening up the form on the portal, or maybe even forcing them to go through a KB search first in some way, and then creating a ticket. Whereas if they have a list view which has the new option, they can just go and click new, create their ticket that way without going through any other steps. So I like the list view web part because it gives you a way to kind of drive your users in certain directions and doesn't give them access to everything that maybe a technician has or other users might have or an admin might have. So just I like it for that reason, because with a SharePoint list view, you don't have that kind of control. SharePoint list view is just, here's the view, it's on a page. It's got all the options. It can go create Power Automate. They can go create Power Apps. They can go create a Nitro form. They can go create custom actions. They can do all this like crazy stuff that you probably don't want them to do. So the list view web part, it gives you a way to lock that down and say, here's what you can see. That's it. Nothing else. You can only see overdue tickets or unassigned tickets, or my tickets more more usefully, my things, like in a purchase request, like we have a purchase request solution, which we've recently made updates to or changes to for customers. And that's one of the things they're very concerned about, is like someone submitting one purchase request shouldn't see what other purchase requests have been submitted for different parts of the organization. Well, there's a couple ways we can handle that. You can do it through item level permissions. And that's certainly a way to go if you need that strict security. But list views is another way to get you to a point where you can at least hide it and don't really give them direct access to things that they shouldn't be able to see. So I like the list view web part for that reason. It's got some value to it. And the other thing too that's really nice about it is you have this mobile mode, which you guys might not know too much about yet, or I think I talked about one of the workshops not too long ago, but I'll just kind of highlight it again with this mobile mode option, which you can enable. And now the grid is going to look different when you present it in a mobile interface. So let me see if I can. Let's pause for a minute here. Okay, we're good. Okay, so what we can do is show you what I think it'll respond. Let me see if it'll respond to. Well, there's no items in here, so that's not going to work too well. Let me go to Open Tickets, see if I can see this. Okay, here's another SharePoint list view web part. And let's go to the all items view, make sure it's got the appropriate mobile mode settings turned on before I go too far here. All right, good. So it's got the mobile mode settings turned on. Let's see if it responds to the size of the screen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And it didn't work in this case. But yeah, if we get a mobile interface, a mobile screen, this same list view web part would look different based on the settings that we have over here in the mobile mode, where you can say, what's the max width, what's the view you want to show, what's the what do we want to show from the items, the title, case ID, requester, and category. Those three items will appear. You got a separator, so it just gives you a way to show the list view web part in the mobile interface. It kind of gives it, rather than relying on the whatever the browser gives you like this, it would actually revert to or change to a different look and feel that's a little nicer, a little better, a little friendlier. Yeah, I just want to verify that's not showing it. Okay, yeah, even though I got the screen scrunched down, it's still not showing it in the mobile mode, but that would I've used this list view web part in mobile mode for our own internal uses, and it works. I know it works. It's just not working with the size of the screen on the desktop side. So I think it's got to be looking at a mobile browser, which have specific headers in the browser. Anyway, I won't get into technical thing, but it knows this is not on a mobile phone, so it's not changing it to the mobile mode. But when it knows it's on a mobile phone, it will change it. Yeah, list view web part I think is a great one to add to your pages to show, and get some use out of. Of course, there's also list Rollup, which is kind of the sister app to the list view. It doesn't have as many bells and whistles as list view, but it does give you the same options of basically showing specifically what you want the user to see, and it gives you the added ability to, as the name implies, you can roll up multiple lists into the one view. Again, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of this one specifically, but just want to highlight it's there, highlight that this web part exists, it's out there for you to use for like archive tickets and tickets if you're using our help desk, or archive purchase requests and purchase requests if you're using one of our other solutions, or whatever it might be. You can do that with list view Rollup web part and add that to a page. Then finally we have, not finally, but there's list search. It's another one I want to highlight. And let me let's see if there should be a search ticket. There it is. Okay. there's a list search, and all the settings are actually here, and they'll be available for admins and not for users. But the list search web part, if you go through Nitro, it just looks like this. It's just adding it to a page, and that's all that's all the settings you get in there. So all the settings are really over here. And if we open that up, and you can see, it's got, I like the list view web part, or I'm sorry, the list search web part. I probably talked about it a lot in previous workshops. So again, I won't go through it in excruciating detail, but just give you some highlights here that I particularly like are, it's got the mobile mode option. So if you go in from a mobile device, it'll render itself in a way that's a little different. You got some advanced options. One I really like is the export to Excel button, which I find when you're using a list view, a SharePoint list view, you have to go and configure a particular list view to get the filter you need. And it's just kind of a pain in the butt, honestly, to on the fly, I just want to see these certain things and export them to Excel. With a list search, it gives you a much easier way to do that, because not only can you search for what you want, but you can also create these advanced filters, which, again, I think I've shown before, but it gives you the same kind of thing that the query view in the list view does, where you can get really granular with your ands and ors and things like that, and nest all these things. So you can get back exactly what you want from that list and present it on this page, and then export it to Excel if you need to do that. So you can, I think I find it very useful for that purpose. Also, just, it's a good web part to search. You can target your search a little bit in the sense of with the settings, you can say, okay, well, you can only search for certain things, only search in certain fields. You can limit your search to certain columns. Again, another way to really tighten things up a little bit with your search, because the SharePoint site search, if you've used that, it's going to pull back everything that the person has access to, whether you want them to see it or not. With a list search, you're targeting a specific list, and of course you got multiple lists in there, which will be selected from a dropdown. But you can target the search to a list. You can target the search to a view, so that only like they're looking for their items only, and then you can target your search to just specific columns within that view, or within that list actually, to really granularly point them to where you want them to go, and see whether you want them to see and not give them everything that you otherwise wouldn't want them to see. But the other thing here, just from a look and feel perspective, just to go down that rabbit hole a little bit, there's these gradients, which I've used internally for different search web parts for searching different lists. So I have multiple search web parts on a page. One searches our contacts, one searches our accounts, things like that. And what I've done is I've created a different gradient for each one of them. So we have this link over to this gradient generator, which is a really cool tool where you can choose what you want it to look like for a gradient. We can do a nice like kind of pinkish hue here, and you can play around with the settings, but I kind of like it the way it is. Nice thing is you can just copy it. You don't have to worry about rewriting all this code or mistyping something, because there's a lot here. So you just hit copy, and then come back over to our search ticket web part, just paste it right in there. It's actually not that much, but it's still a lot of like characters they don't want to type, and save that. And then it should refresh the page. Might take a minute to apply the gradient. Let me go ahead and refresh again. So there you go. Yeah, no, it's got a nice kind of hue to it. And that can give you or your users or yourself a way to kind of a visual cue to say, okay, this is searching tickets, or this is searching contacts, or this is searching contracts, or this is searching assets, not this other thing. So it gives you another kind of cue to say what the web part is all about. So that kind of gives you another highlight, also another way to kind of highlight things on the page, and or match things up with your particular internal branding, whatever it might be. So I think it's a very useful tool. As I mentioned earlier, we're working on ways to integrate kind of AI, chat GPT kind of stuff with the search. So it's going to get a lot better. So we got places to go with it. And then the other thing, I think I just want to touch on it because it's a visualization piece that you can put on a page. It's a web part you can add to a page. Is the the reports, and you can get these kind of really nice dashboards with all sorts of different types of reports that look like this. This is, again, I won't go into the details of creating reports, but just want to give you another piece of the puzzle, another web part that you can add to pages that gives you a dashboard kind of look and feel. Again, I use it internally for different opportunities coming through, different accounts we're working on, different projects that are going through the cycle. You can kind of just get the view on a page, get the report on a page, get some list search on a page, and it just gives you a one-stop shop for all the things you need to understand about what's going on in the site, what's going on with a particular process, or what's going on with a particular thing in your site. So you can kind of combine all these things together. But also do want to touch on not just this. There's also some other web parts that aren't really highlighted all that. It really aren't highlighted at all, that you may not be aware of. I just want to show you real quick what else we have out there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to, well, maybe I'll add one to a page. We'll see. See what happens. Just kind of play around. There are some other web parts here. So let's go. If you just do a search for Crow Canyon in your add web part screen, you'll see there's a whole bunch that we can look at. So there's HTML text, which gives you a way to add text to your page. There's like a dashboard we can add. There's a service catalog. Some of them are specific to applications. There's like a site settings we use on our portal web part. There's a report center, which is kind of brings all your reports into one place. There's a progress dashboard, which I think we're using in our onboarding program. But yeah, I think the one I really want to highlight here is the HTML text, where it gives you a way to add it to a page. Again, you don't get access to this unless you're an admin. It does give you a way to add script, which I know sometimes is not desired, but it is a way to get around that if you need to do so for some reason. And we do for some of our applications. We actually have some scripting and a little JavaScript file that renders things in a certain way. But I do want to give you that option, or show you the option exists. Again, for admins who can add it to a page, it's there. For your general users, they probably wouldn't even see it or be able to get to it. But yeah, it is there. Let's see what else. I think that was really the main one. Kind of giving this ability to add a just straight up HTML text to your page that you can display. So it gives you another way to do that. Okay, that kind of like covers most of what I wanted to cover today with these web parts. And again, if there's anything specific you want to see, we can always go back to tiles and dials or list search or list view, whatever it is. But it looks like we do have at least one question in the box. With the tiles on the top, but the list view in the middle, do the tile links open in the web part in the middle, or they open in a new tab? That's a great question. So when you're in the tile, you have an option to open it in the same tab or open it in a new tab. Either way, you're not opening it in that list view that's right under it. So in this scenario where we have our manager dashboard, was what I was working on. If you click one of these, it does not render here. It's a different page. So if I click that, it's going to open up a new tab. But you can also have that open up in the same tab if you wanted to. But that's a setting in the tile. So if we come back over here, you see there's an open in option. So you can open in the same tab, a new tab, or it could be a pop-up dialog. So that might actually bridge the difference there. Because if you want to do a pop-up, you could do that. So just kind of show you what that looks like if I do save on that. Refresh this guy over here. And you see now it's popped up in the middle rather than on a new page, or redirecting you to a new page or opening up a new tab. It's right here in the on this pop-up dialog. So it kind of gives you a way to do that you see it in the site rather than bringing them somewhere else. All right, I think if there's any other questions, happy to answer them, or if there's anything you want to, any topics you want us to cover, I think there's a short survey that goes out after the conclusion of this workshop where you can put in what you want to see. If there's something you're struggling with or something you want to, you think it'd be useful for people to understand, or you want me to cover a particular topic, that we can look at that. And I think someone suggested looking at looping workflows and custom actions, and I think I'll probably target that for our next workshop after of course, the next one's going to be about new features that we're working on. Oh, that actually reminds me, the new features. We've got some new features coming out that just got released that gets us beyond that 5K list view threshold. So I know a lot of you probably have seen that limitation in SharePoint where, sure, you can have millions of items in a SharePoint list, which is great, but you can only bring back 5,000 at a time. We've gotten around that now. So with our tiles and dials, with our reports, I think even our list search, it just got released this morning, so I have to check back on what it was fully covering. But I noticed here in our tiles and dials even, um, I think there was an option. Let's see, I'm gonna make a liar of me. Body, large list, there's somewhere, I saw it somewhere when I was looking through these web parts, but there's a option to indicate, is it a large list? I think that was in our list search, as a matter of fact. Let me go back to our list search. Maybe it wasn't in our list search. I forget exactly where it was, but if you, it may be that these web parts aren't updated to the latest version of Nitro, but there's you'll see that in a couple places where you can now select, is it a large list? And what that means is we'll handle it differently when we render the items or we render the report. If it's over 5,000 items, we'll be able to get around that now and be able to show, like in a Nitro report, if you have 10,000 items in your list and you want to do a report on all of them, that's possible. If you wanted to do a list view web part that's over 5,000 items, that's now possible. So we've gone around that. It's really cool, really great thing, and it really just amps up the capabilities of what we can do. Building on SharePoint has its drawbacks, of course. The 5,000 list view threshold is certainly one of them, and that's where we're now looking at having that capability. And we got a question about associated columns over 5,000. We've always gone around that. So if you have an associated list, and maybe the scenario, in a Nitro form, if you have an associated column and that association or that list has more than 5,000 items, like let's say it's an assets list, and very, very possible you're going to have more than 5,000 assets. That list or that association, I'm pretty sure we've gone around that for a long time with the association. If your experience is different, certainly let me know. We can expand on that and take a look at it. But if your scenario is that you want to bring back more than 5,000 items into that form, well, I think we're working on that. I don't know if we've released that piece of it yet, but we certainly would be one of the things we're working on to put out there. So it's not out there in full yet. Just be aware there's certain web parts we haven't enabled that for the 5,000 list view threshold, getting around that. But it is there for, like I said, I think it's there for list views, there for NITRO reports, it's there for tiles and dials. Oh, that's where it must have been tiles and dials. I saw it. Well, anyway, I'll find it. I'll play around. You can see where it is. But we do have it out there now, so that's a really big enhancement. I'll talk more about that in our next workshop, which I think is in a couple weeks or 2 or 3 weeks. So we'll definitely talk about that. I'm going to talk about a lot of the other new things that are coming out with that workshop, and then hopefully we'll maybe have some AI stuff to show you at that next workshop. I think that'll be really great. It's a really cool things that we're doing there. And yeah, then I think after that we'll maybe talk about workflows, loop actions, and things like that. Revisit that function because we haven't talked about that in a while. But yeah, if there's anything else, like I said, there's a little survey that'll go out after this workshop ends, and you'll be able to type in your thoughts about what you think we should be covering. And as Chris likes to say, I like to say too, it's for you guys. This is for your learnings of how to use Nitro, either as its own standalone builder of forms and workflow solutions, or if you wanted to enhance what you have with one of our out-of-the-box applications. This gives you the ability to do that. So if there's anything you want to see specifically, or anything you want to talk about, or anything you want to see in a future workshop, go ahead and type that into the survey, and we'll take that into consideration and and do that. So I think that's about it. Krista, anything else to add?
Well, thanks, James. That was, I don't, it's fun for me to see all the updates too, So I really appreciate you sharing that with all of us today.
Sure.
And yeah, I think just like James said, if you have any requests, anything that you want to see us cover, definitely let us know. Who knows, it might just be the next topic to get added to our calendar.
That's right.
But we really appreciate you all joining us today, and we'll always enjoy sharing the new updates with you and discussing everything that's going on with Nitro. It seems like there's always something new, James, isn't there?
Yeah, no, our guys are hard at work. Our guys and girls are hard at work at getting the new features out there. Enhancing your experience with it, and just yeah, it's always room for improvement, always room to make things better, and we just keep finding ways to do that. Of course, a lot of feedback, a lot of what we've built. Any of this stuff has come from customer feedback. So if you have something you're like, it doesn't work this way, or really wish a NITRO report could do this, or I want to send out, workflow. I don't want to have to wait for the schedule to send out workflow. I want to be able to trigger it, at a different time. Things like that. We keep hearing from our customers, just little things that, look, there's only so many of us here, and yes, we do use Nitro on a day-to-day basis, but there's always something that someone else has experienced that we can learn from and add to the program, and make it even better. So, we're listening. We hear you, and if there's anything, of course, anything more you want to see in here, let us know, from a feature standpoint. But certainly, we're happy to hear from our customers. So. All right, well, I guess I'll leave it at that. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone joining today. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon. All right, take care, everyone.